Yo, what's going on? It's your boy, Mysonne the General, and you are watching This Week in White Supremacy. Tune in.
1, 2. Is that one here?
Yeah, behind you.
I did it? Yay!
Can we get the claps? Hey. Welcome, everybody, to a very, very special episode of This Week in White Supremacy. And in this episode, we have a very, very special guest. To my right, normally, it's Big Blessing, but right across from me is...
It's your girl, Big Blessing, and me, Miracle.
Yes.
Trying to be better with the mic.
Yes, please do, Miracle. Speak into... You got the headphones on, too? Speak into the mic.
I'm going to be professional today.
And do you have some acronyms?
Man, the voiceless villain today, man. The supreme Asiatic intelligently divine. You know what I mean?
Oh, I thought, is that...
You want me to go like farther into the raspiness?
Oh, no,
Like
I think you good.
The brutal baritone, the terrorizing.
I thought you were going to do something. Yes, the muted Muslim.
The muted Muslim.
Muted MAGA Muslim.
Come on.
The voiceless villain.
Yes.
Voiceless villain. All of them things, man.
And
I'm trying to save my voice.
Yeah, save your voice because we got a lot of...
We have a lot.
I got a lot of smoke for you.
Okay.
In this joint. A lot.
Please. Here for.
And we have a very, very special guest. You know, a legend. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
Straight from the Bronx, the BX, the birthplace of hip hop.
Yeah.
Our brother putting in work all over the country. Boycotting black murder. Our brother Mysonne. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Mice?
I'm blessed and highly favored. Ken, how are you?
I'm blessed that you being at this brother's schedule is what trying to get you to come to Pittsburgh to get a window, man. You doing everything. You just did a giveaway. You said you had a giveaway with the youngins, and you going to, are y'all getting an award or something?
We're being awarded by Melanie Campbell's organization in DC. So
well deserved. So now I know, man, when I remember sitting and listening to the music, and you had a project that was God's work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, like, I know your God is real. I'm gonna tell you how, right? You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if you said any extra prayers because your biggest critic, man, one of your biggest critics, God took his whole voice, man. I mean, this dude was repping Nike, bro. This dude said he was gonna wear a pair of Jordans around his neck. This is one of the biggest sneakerheads
in the world.
I've known. Like, this dude has more sneakers than probably all of us put together.
I get it.
You know, this dude he just left Kanye. I'm talking about last week.
No, and came right back to him.
Allow me. Don't
back to him.
No, tell the whole truth. If you gonna testify,
how does it feel to be one of God's favorites?
You just gonna lie on a Tuesday?
God took this man's voice, my son. God was like, "You will not touch my anointed soldier."
Listen. The gospel was silent for a lot of prophets.
But, you know, Mice, I mean, like, I want to talk about, because I think you got a campaign, like F Nike. You know what I'm saying? Fuck Nike, that's the campaign. Yep. And, you know, I guess I saw a little bit about it, but of course, what caught my attention and caught a lot of people's attention is when I saw you posted up about an incinerator. Mm-hmm. And I saw some like, you had some Citrus 7s. Mm-hmm. You had the Cherry 11. The Cherry 11s hadn't even come out yet. Yeah. I don't even know how you got a pair. Yeah. And you put them down the incinerator, man. So I guess first talk about, like, what was the event that made you say F Nike? And then in that moment, did you think you would go as far as to, like, burn some of the hottest sneakers? You know, I kind of picture myself at the bottom of the incinerator.
But listen,
catching these bad
It's a
boys.
weird story. I said it on my podcast, right?
Okay.
Because I was saying I was burning them.
Okay, wait. So just before
that, let me get to you want to get to.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm saying you want me to get to.
But what made you say this was before Kyrie? You were saying you was gonna burn.
No,
it
was during Kyrie.
Okay.
So it was the Phil Knight statement,
right?
You know, it was watching his statement and. I felt like I was watching a slave owner talk about a slave, right? And knowing how much I love Nike, like, I go out and get Nikes. I pay an extra $200-300 to get them a month before. That's why you seen the red 11s and all.
Right.
That's what I do. So I'm a connoisseur of Nikes.
So you're like you would call yourself a sneakerhead.
Yeah, I would call myself a sneaker.
Absolutely.
So And when I watched that, and I know Kyrie's somebody that, I speak to, got a good relationship with, and knowing his heart, how pure he is, and how he really just stands on for black people all the time. Like throughout this movement, every time something happened with Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, like he was one of the main people. Like one of my friends works in the NBA, and when they were in the bubble, he was one of the main people. Like, yeah, we shouldn't even be playing basketball if we're not gonna make the NBA be held accountable to what's going on with George Floyd. If we not gonna make them do something for Breonna Taylor, like I'm not playing basketball. He was standing up in every meeting. He was facing a lot of.
I remember that because they went and called Obama. They got President Obama to kind of come in and shut that down. I do remember that.
So and he still didn't play. Like even when everybody. So he's always been on the front line for
and at that same time, just touch on it. I think he supported the WNBA in that moment. I think it was because during the pandemic, right, is when he also gave a lot of money to support the WNBA athletes.
So just knowing where his heart is and how pure he is, and then watching somebody, and right now, Kyrie's sneaker was the second biggest selling for Nike after LeBron's.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so this is facts.
Right.
So understanding that because a man was looking into his history and trying to find out where he came from and promoting blackness,
right,
that a company could say that he crossed the line.
Yeah.
Like and we just gonna sever the ties. So you're willing to lose millions of dollars because you want to make a point and put him in his place. So I said to myself, I should be willing to sacrifice not spending my money or losing a couple of $1,000s to show them that we stand with our brother.
Okay.
Because it was bigger for me than that. It's like we're not expendable. Like this is not just an expendable little black boy that you could just say, you got to say what I want you to say, how I want you to say it, or we just going to cut your supplies off. So at that point, I had to, because it touched me like that. Really watching this video, because Tamika posted it first. I didn't even see it first. She posted it. She's like, "What does he mean cross the line? Like, who is he talking to?" Like, and I watched it for like a day, and it really I had tears in my eyes watching that. Like it touched my soul.
And this was after, just to put the video in context, this was after Kyrie apologized. He had did a joint letter with the ADL. He had given the ADL, I want to say $500,000, or I don't know if it was that much.
Like that,
yeah. And so he had already done those type of things already. So that it was interesting to see that. So you seen that. So you was like, you looked at your shoes.
I looked at my shoes. I probably got about a good 300 just around the room that's in my house. But I got a bunch of more in storage, and I just was looking, and I was like,
I'll burn these motherfuckers. I'm
like, I don't feel like I can't be me. I can't say that I stand on what I stand on.
Right.
If I'm not good with myself wearing these, I wasn't good with it. Yeah. And I said, what am I willing to sacrifice to show, that we stand in solidarity, that we're not just expendable, that you can't just degrade us and disrespect us. What am I willing to sacrifice? So if I can't sacrifice some sneakers, then I ain't really who I say I am.
Wow. Yeah, I know it was that was the thing I thought about the most of this podcast. Like, what am I going to wear on my feet? Like, I was really.
Mike's got you shook.
We all were like,
damn, I can't wear no Jordans. I can't wear no. I definitely can't break no Yeezys out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, so I was like, what's the one thing a New Yorker gonna respect? Got my construction Timbs on. You know what I mean? I got my constructions on.
You got it.
That's what I'm saying.
You
so
understood this time.
Come on, bro. Obviously, we got to be in tune. So. At that point, when do you say, okay, I'm going to go, because this was a controversial thing and I want to get into it. Like, when do you go to I have these, a lot of them shoes didn't even look like you might have even put them on your feet.
They was brand new. Most of them was brand new. Right. I probably took the most brand new. Those is like the top 10.
You might have put like 10K. You might have just set 10. So what makes you decide? Because I saw and a lot of people was like, you didn't give them away, you didn't do that. We're doing a giveaway right now. Like right now, we're doing a collaboration with a sneaker store called Social Status, and they have a thing called Be Social. We're doing a giveaway. So on Saturday, we're going to give away a bunch of shoes that folks are donating. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So what made you say, I'm not going to donate these shoes, I'm going to set my camera up and I'm going to burn.
So I think for me was, I wouldn't give somebody spoiled food.
Yeah.
Right. If I don't have value, I'm not going to give you anything that I don't think is valuable. Right. If I think that something is poison, because that's what it was for me. That the Nike brand for me had been poisoned.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give them to you. Why would I give somebody poison? I want to eliminate it. You know what I'm saying? So
maybe I like poison.
I mean, but it's a lot of people that like, and I understand.
Yeah, you know, that's real.
I'm not going to contribute to giving you the poison.
Got you.
You understand what I'm saying? So my mindset was, I brought these sneakers, and I wanted you to understand that I'm willing to lose this. Mm-hmm. Like, not willing to just transfer the energy. Like, this energy is negative. I'm not transferring it. I'm trying to eliminate, you know, completely eliminate that energy. So I wanted you to know that I'm willing to lose this just so you understand how serious. Because y'all was willing to lose millions of dollars. Y'all said, look, we could cut, because we want you to know that we need you to stand in line. Yeah, we'll lose millions of dollars. Yeah. So why can't I lose a couple of thousand?
Absolutely. Does anybody, I don't know, did you all have any questions about, because I know we kind of had a mini debate about this.
No. You want to go first?
I'm going to take it somewhere else. But this whole conversation with Kyrie has been about the lack of grace that is afforded to Black people to learn, whether it's our history or just to make mistakes. And so as you're doing this campaign, what are some of the takeaways you want people to get outside of just like boycotting this brand? But when it comes to giving grace and reaching out to Black people, what are some of the takeaways you would like for people to have?
That we deserve grace. That, you know, this is a young, like, you know, I had a conversation with Kyrie a couple of weeks ago. We was on the phone for about an hour, and he was just talking about how, like, he came into the NBA as a kid. Like, he had a bunch of money young. He made a lot of mistakes.
Right, because he only went to school 1 year, right? He came out like a freshman.
So immediately he was like a millionaire, like 17, 18 years old. He was always, so he was coming from the relationship with money to where he thought he didn't have to do a lot of things. Like, you know, he had an ego. He said, I had an ego problem that I didn't even identify with it. A lot of young kids coming out and being held that great young, you know, so I had to learn. I went through a lot of things. I made a lot of foolish decisions. You know, and understanding that. And when a man can say that and identify with that reality, then he deserves some grace. He's not trying to perpetuate something that. Right. And he admitted that, you know, I didn't know. And there are things that I don't agree with. And we should be able to say that. We should, as individuals, we should be able to look at a whole movie. You know, it's a bunch of people that watch movies all day and say, this is my favorite. Right. And inside the movie, somebody's getting raped. True. Nobody ain't say, oh, yo, you support rape because it's rape in the movie. No, what are you talking about? The overall theme of the movie is what the rape scene ain't got nothing to do with what it is that I identify with. Right. You know what I'm saying? So we should be able to have those conversations. And I heard somebody say we should be able to have conversations. You can't force somebody into your belief system. A lot of people have been taught something different than you've been taught. That doesn't mean that they're evil people or bad people. So this what I want to come from that, you know. And my campaign, you know, for me was also just supporting Blacks. Yeah. You know, just really, when I started doing it, I said I could easily just shift to just another high name sneaker, but let's highlight.
You could put some Balenciagas on,
you know
or whatever.
And I'm saying, let's highlight Black-owned sneaker businesses around Black Friday. Let's put our Black dollar into our Black community. Let's start showing. And what I found out, there's so many Black-owned sneakers, and they dope Black-owned sneakers that we didn't know about, that I never even would have tapped into had this situation not been created.
You know who else found out?
Who?
Apparently Nike did. I don't know. Do you feel like you helped to? Because I mean, you know, and for those that don't know, Nike sued. Was it two of them, right? Yeah. And were these brands that you had also promoted as well? Yeah. Have you talked to those brothers?
I talked to one of them, and I'm still supporting them. I said,
yeah. Since
they sued, now I want to buy more. Yeah, I'm definitely going to. Shout out to my brother Kai and Omni, Hellcat. Like, they brothers, you know, they've been doing their thing. There's a lot of different brands that you can look at that have similar shoes to that look like the Dunks or the Air Force One. There's a lot of similar shoes like that. So why would you decide to pick these two guys out of everyone?
And more so, like, and I want to bring Farouk into the conversation. My feeling was, how much are these brothers really making? Like, in the scheme of things, let's say these brothers made, let's say they made $5 million off these sneakers. Nike makes billions of dollars. And why is Nike, part of the reason they make billions of dollars is because we make Nike cool.
That's right.
These same brothers that are doing these, and
they still got a bunch of them still wear Nike. Always got on Nike.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. Because it's like a different. It's like, okay, I'm gonna wear Nikes. I'm gonna wear the brothers shoe now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I felt like because Nike should understand like their relationship with us. And then my other beef with Nike, not beef, but my other thing with Nike is, I just mentioned, Cherry 11s just came out. You can't go on Nike and get those shoes. Nope. Because they only make a certain amount to make them exclusive. Then they put them on a resale. And so you have to go to the resale and get. So it's like you're not even making enough shoes for everybody. You don't make enough ones for everybody to get it. So if my man got, put a little black, swag freak, put a little drip on the ones and put a little, there's a little lightning bolt on the ones. Like that's actually, to me, helping to promote the style of shoe that you put out. You know what I'm saying? And you're not putting ones out for everybody.
Give somebody just another right. And is another brother that we interviewed on our podcast. His name is Trent. He's from Canada.
Okay.
And he was one of the boutique dealers. He was one of the first dealers that he had a license, and they would send him, exclusive sneakers.
The special ones, yeah.
Special ones. So he had a boutique. And during the pandemic, he had like 4 or 5 of them. He had gone national. He was really big with it. And during the pandemic, he was forced to shut down. He was forced almost into bankruptcy because, he couldn't even sell no shoes out of there. So he learned how to sell shoes online. And when he started doing his increased quadruple. So he said, this is how. So when he went back to Nike, he came to them with a new format. He said, listen, what I'm going to do, I'm shutting down a couple of these boutiques, but I'm going to keep a couple of them open. There's going to be more experience centers to where the store is going to probably open 2 or 3 days. You could come in, there's an experience, it's going to be music played, special sneakers, only a certain amount of people can get in there. They're probably going to charge you more for the whole experience. And they was like, okay, dope. But as soon as he started doing it, he said they switched somebody who was in control of it, and then they told him no. And he said, what do you mean no? They like, we need you to open up the brick and mortar. Said, we don't want you to do that. And he said, wow, like it doesn't make sense. Like my overhead, and we still selling more sneakers. So what is it you have an issue with? But what they wanted to do was limit him to something. They wanted him to just be the store. Yeah, they didn't want you to tap in because what happens is you tapping into their resources because they got online sellers already. Yeah. So now they like, nah, we don't want you for that. Yeah, you got to stay over here and just be the corner boy. Absolutely. You can only hustle in the corner. You can't innovate and do something better. So they dropped it, took his license from him, and stopped giving him sneakers. So now he's in the. So this is what I'm trying to tell you. So this is what we've been going through. Yeah. When I'm listening to a bunch of things, they were saying Kobe was having issues with Nike. He was
So Vanessa was taking her business.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's a lot of, when you look at this, Nike has had, they have had foul play with the black community for a while. We just been ignoring it. You know what Jordan had to go through to get all. Absolutely. So this is well overdue for me.
And we do, we shout out Jordan around here because Jordan Brand donated to One Hood Media. Shout out to Jordan. So I want to bring you in, Farouk, because I know I know God has limited you, but you had a difference of opinions to the burning of the shoes, and you had a difference of opinion in terms of the copyright infringement.
Not so much that. That didn't bother me as much. Like you pay for the shoes, you do whatever you want with them. You know what I mean? That's like you buy them, they're yours. I don't really care. The way I was looking at it was, one, the first thing you said was about energy being destroyed, right? Yeah. Law of conservation energy says it can't be destroyed or created. It just shifts from container to container, right? I'm not upset that you burned the sneakers.
I mean, he created some fire energy with them sneakers.
No, but it's just like I think that you have to look at. I'm gonna quote Miracle here. There's no conscientious decision under capitalism.
Oh, okay.
Right, and I think that. That's your quote. I'm not gonna.
You that gift? Like, why am I in this?
But I mean, also the soil of America is rotten. So any fruit that it's gonna bear is gonna be spoiled. Right, and I think that when you're looking at, let's say Panera Bread, for instance. Panera Bread is a restaurant that has had lot of allegations and a lot of issues with racial.
Really?
Big time. Huge. Especially in Pittsburgh.
I mean, I don't go to Panera, but I've never heard of that.
But at the end of every day, they donate all their baked goods. Right?
Okay.
They donate all their baked goods. And even though they have these practices, are people not supposed to eat the food that they give out? Right? They're very difficult to tell a poor person, someone who's less fortunate, you can't have this because they have discriminatory practices. Mm-hmm. The way I look at the sneakers things, I was like, okay, I understand what you're saying is like you don't want to give somebody a spoiled product. Cool. I'm not mad at that at all. But somebody would have wanted that. Mm-hmm. I think somebody would have been like, you know what? Maybe
that somebody's me. Jasiri would have taken every pair.
I mean, but you know, like you said, I got sneakers in stores. You got sneakers in stores. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, there'll probably be some children out there that's like, they probably don't have politically aware parents or like aren't really the most, you know, politically savvy youths out there. That I'm like, yo, you know what? I would have wanted them Citrus 7s this Black Friday. I would have wanted them at some point, right? And we got a toy drive or a sneaker drive that we're doing, and it's not so much necessarily about the brand. It's more so about like there's a communal aspect of the status of sneakers, right? And we all know that. Like, sneakers will elevate status. And maybe one child who we always see those heartwarming videos on Instagram was like the class banded together and they bought the kid his favorite sneakers or something like that. That could have really influenced a specific person throughout there. Now we all do the same work. We all in the same sphere. Now, I'm not nitpicking. It's just like that's not my personal ministry.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? But and I'm not upset or nothing. You know what I mean? It's just like that wasn't the mode that I would have went to voice my opinion. Has Nike done all kinds of whack shit? Absolutely. Bill Bowerman was the co-founder of Nike next to Phil Knight was a wild racist.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, the niggas that did the shit in Portland, the Raj Panon. Remember that documentary?
Yeah.
He was the one that called Babylon on them.
Oh, okay.
So
gotcha.
So I mean, like Nike has always had issues, but
that was one of the greatest documentaries. Of all
absolutely.
time,
but what I would further say though is that like every brand we consume has a human rights violation attached to it.
Well, and
iPhones, Hanes, Timberland, wherever you get your fabric from, they're probably, even the black-owned companies that make sneakers, their manufacturers are probably Thailand, Vietnam, something like that, where child labor is something enforced. So it's like, I would look at it like, if we're going to take one stand, it has to be.
Yeah, but you can't. So I did want to just add a little caveat to that, because somebody did send me something that said like, as I was talking to one of my mentors, and he sent me something that said like 300 million children don't have shoes, like that don't own a pair of shoes. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. He said a billion.
I'm about to come.
A billion people worldwide don't have shoes. So like, I'm sure that was the biggest pushback I'm sure you got, as people said like, why didn't you give those away?
I mean, he bought them, so he could really do whatever.
Yeah. Of course. So how do you feel about what this dude, what this raspy boy said? You see, God weakened him though. No. For you.
He sounded kind of strong to me. But I'm gonna say this. We all have to pick.
Absolutely.
We have to pick what it is that we stand
Absolutely,
on.
Yeah.
Right? Because if Panera was something that touched you and made you feel away, I believe that you should stand on Panera, right? We have different organizations inside this movement that does different work, and all of those things affect black people. Right. It doesn't mean that we care less about it. It means that we're more passionate about one or few angles of the work. So we focus on that. That's something that we profess, right?
Yeah. Right.
So for me, it was like, it's like saying, why did Rosa Parks, get off the bus when they couldn't go into the bathrooms? We should have stopped going to the restaurants. We should have stopped doing that. Everybody has to choose their fight. Right. I can't choose that fight for everybody, right? I know I have a following. I know I have a voice. I know that when I make a stand, there are people who are looking to see what is it that we can do, right? And I know that when I make a stand, that I stand on 10 toes down,
100%.
And I say, this is what it is that I'm doing. I know it influences, just like, because 100%. People use social media and they influence our kids in all type of negative ways,
1,000%,
right?
Yeah.
So as I give Nike away, and then Nike still got, giveaways, and they get rid of Kyrie, they side Ja Morant. Like, we fighting against these things, but I want people to follow me to understand this is exactly what I stand on. I'm not telling you that that's your sacrifice.
Right.
Your sacrifice might be different. You might say, "Oh, well, I want to donate." Okay, if that's
he can't even stop wearing Yeezys, man. Don't even worry
I
about his
haven't worn
sacrifice.
Yeezys yet. I haven't worn Yeezys. Don't do me. Don't do me.
It's a joke. We're joking.
But I also want to give you, this is the point that I was trying to say from the beginning. So when I threw those sneakers into the incinerator,
Right.
my intention was they was gonna burn.
Yeah.
Right.
They ain't burned, did they?
They did not burn. I threw them into the incinerator, and I'm leaving my building 3 days.
Somebody was down there with a net and
3
caught
days
all them
later.
shits.
So God gives me a story. My building is owned by a church.
Okay.
So one of the guys from the church, he said, hey, he sees me coming to the building. He said, hey, let me talk to you for a second. I said, what happened? He said, yo, there's this young boy that works in the building. He's been working with us. He's in college. You know, things was really hard for him. He couldn't afford clothes. He had just went to service and gave his last $20 to the collection plate.
Mashallah.
And he's inside. He's working in the building. You know, he's working in the building, and he goes he's working in the incinerator, and he sees all of these sneakers.
What size shoe you wear, by the way, Mice?
I wear size 11.
I wear 11 and a half.
Damn, I wear a 10 and a half, 11. Oh, shit. Go ahead.
So he's like, he said, yo, he prayed, he cried, because he didn't know where he was going to get sneakers from. He didn't know, like, he was at the bottom of his. So it's like
a blessing.
Whatever it is.
A Christmas miracle.
Legit.
Hey, yo.
So when he's
Shoe
telling me
miracle.
this story, and he's like, yo, you should have seen him. Like, he was just crying to me.
Did he know they were your shoes?
I guess they knew, because after social media, and
Right,
they started
right,
paying
right,
attention to
right.
see where it came from. But
Willie or won't he do it?
That was God's
Willie
plan.
or won't he do it?
It wasn't my plan.
Full circle.
You know, full circle.
Yeah,
So
now that's beautiful.
people say
That's beautiful.
that you did donate it, but actually I did, but it wasn't my
Wow.
purpose. But
Right.
it was God's purpose. So at the end of the day, we don't know. I don't know how something moves somebody else's heart. I can't.
absolutely.
I can't tell you. It's some people that we go out and we protest and we stand up and we go through these things. Everybody's not going to do it. People going, "What you doing, March? This is our protest."
Let me say
Whatever
this.
it is.
Let me say this. I've known you for a while now. I've never disagreed with anything you've ever said on your platform, and even then, I didn't disagree with you. I was just like, I wouldn't. That's just me.
Yeah,
Like,
And there's nothing wrong with
right.
that.
And exactly right. You know what I mean? But, which ones did you save?
I didn't save none.
Nothing.
I'm still in the process of throwing them away as I recreate my sneaker collection. Like,
Yeah.
shout out to Saya, which I got on some Sayas right now.
I pre that. I pre that. When
You know,
did
shout-
that.
Okay.
You know, shout out to Bungie Brand. Shout out to McFly. Shout
Brand
out
Black.
to
Brand Black's another one. Another
Brand
black.
Black.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Have you ever
Actively
purchased
Black.
a pair of Brand Black?
They sold.
Hell no, you didn't purchase that. Go ahead, my son.
They
Talk
still have my
about
size
the black
on-
people you're supporting.
Shout out to Kai. Shout out to Kai. Shout out to Omni the Hellcat. Shout out to my brother Goods with the slick walks.
Goods got some sneakers?
Yeah, Goods.
Oh,
got,
okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of brands. So as I get more sneakers,
Yeah.
I'm probably tomorrow I'm probably gonna throw 10 more pairs away.
Now let
They
me ask
said,
you this.
can you call them first?
Yeah, just give me the address and the time.
I can't really fit in
They're
11,
still
so
a
that's
work
all
in
you.
progress.
But-
The Lord is still
But
working.
Miracle did have something.
Okay.
She wanted to, because you made a statement. You were going to kind of give it to.
Now I'm gonna ignore y'all because we have moved on in
Okay.
peace and positivity.
Okay.
What did I do?
Y'all talking about people need sneakers, but y'all are collectors. Like, come on.
I need to collect. I need to collect.
Anyway,
I do feel a certain, like when I was thinking about that today, and I was like, I don't need none of this. You know what I'm saying?
And
But-
that's what it was for
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
That was the epiphany, right?
Yeah.
I said to myself, and that's what we have to do. Once we start sacrificing things that we think are that valuable to us,
Yeah.
and you start unplugging, you realize that shit don't really mean nothing
Don't
to
mean
you.
nothing.
Because when I stopped wearing Nikes, I didn't miss nothing. It was like, yo,
And-
I don't really need
So-
that.
so
shit
can
don't
I ask
define
And
me.
it's like, wait, and I just want to say, and it's like you're you, you're
Exactly.
mice.
Like,
Like
I'm-
it's not, you're not. We don't be like,
I don't
oh,
need those Nikes.
Mice got something. Come on, yeah, you're mice.
Yeah,
You're my
So
son.
that
We
being
just
said,
rebuild and rebrand.
one, a lot of those brands don't carry my size. So
Oh no, I'm just joking with you, brother. I've
But
never
can
heard
I
you
ask you a
mention
question?
any of them.
But
Though. I've
secondly,
never heard you mention. Nigga, come on here talking about Nike all day long, Jordan.
Because
Okay,
we've already made a standard for ourselves. If
Right.
somebody came out with a sneaker that became the hottest brand in the world, and they had a black baby being hung on the side, just on the side. That was the symbol,
Right? Yeah.
Right. You wouldn't give if somebody gave them to you. You wouldn't give it to no kid.
That's a fair point. True. No, that's a very 100%. Fair point
because you look at that and say it doesn't represent me. It's something that's.
But I would think that's another level of violence, though.
But now it's a level of violence to you. You understand what I'm saying? Because it
affects me.
Because we've established that as our standard, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to tell you is that symbol, the Nike check, represents the hanging boy for me.
Okay, that's fair.
Wow. And just to say,
I get it because I love me a boycott. You know, I still try to boycott Walmart because what they did to John Crawford.
We definitely do.
Like even to this day, we do not.
We don't shop at Walmart.
I haven't been to a Waffle House, and God only knows how long.
I did good. I boycotted for like 4.5 years, and then I went back. But only do it once a year now. And I'm from Georgia, and we used to go weekly. Because of what they did to the sister. So like stuff happens, and I do think that a lot of times you have been criticized with like activism for some of the stances you've made or some of the things you've done. But this was like something that was a part of your life. Like you were a sneakerhead. This was, you were looking for the drops. And as people say, like stay in your lane. This was an issue, like your lane. True. So like how do you feel like getting backlash for like literally paying it, following the advice and calling for a boycott for something that was like so near and dear to you?
No good deed goes unpunished.
Ooh, that's a fact.
I just realized that, when you get a level of notoriety and quote unquote power, whatever it is, you have to deal with, there's people that's going to be in conflict with it is that you believe, and that comes with it. When I look throughout all of the leaders that I've ever followed, they're praised now. But when they was doing that work, it was people that hated, like literally hated them.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what comes with levels of leadership and being able to stand on your square and not waver. I don't have no problem standing all by myself on something that I believe. And so that's who I am. So I'm going to always get backlash. I'm going to always say what's not popular or most people thinking and don't want to say or scared to say in certain rooms. So I realized that that's just who I am. I've been that my whole life. So I just embrace it and deal with what comes with it,
Yeah, it's almost like it's this troll culture, and I do want to get into that. I did just want to say, man, it was a powerful moment when Kyrie took to court with a pair of shoes. On one side it said logo here, and on the other side it says I am free.
That was hot.
Thank you, God, I am. I thought that was like a moment of like, wow, and it almost it tied into the work that you were doing. And the reality is, bro, I'm going to be honest, like if you didn't step in front of that incinerator, it probably wouldn't have gotten the attention. Because that's what got my attention. Hey, yo, Mice is in front of that.
First thing he did was he showed me the video.
Yes.
And I was looking at it like,
yeah. And it was like, and I was like, you see them shoes? So I think it took that, oftentimes, in terms of the way the internet culture works, it took that extreme moment. Is there a plan, I guess, to maybe rally around these brothers that Nike has sued? Is there a next step? I mean, you boycotted, but you also, you come out of Until Freedom. Y'all are some tenacious organizers. Y'all are some of the best when it comes to the organizing work that you do, when it comes to being on the ground, and when it comes to like amplifying situations. I mean, y'all don't F around. You know what I'm saying? So do you have plans to do more around that?
So yeah, I definitely want to get some of our lawyers that understand, the copyright to help the brothers with whatever they're going through. Most of them pretty much seem like they have it figured out. When I spoke to Kai,
good.
Kai said, he's been doing this for years, and his lawyer assured him he knows all of the rules. So, if I can help, I would definitely want to do that. But what I want to do is start amplifying. Like I want to do a big fashion show for Black designers.
Oh, I like that.
That's the next thing that I'm working on is doing a big fashion show for Black designers. Continue to amplify them. Hopefully with Kyrie's next situation to be one of the Black-owned sneaker situations. Incredible. And I know he's having meetings with a couple of them to try to design, because he's really serious about that. Like, he's been talking about, we probably need to go back to Africa. Like we need to go and just really open up our own.
100%.
So I want to just be on the front line of that organization. Also, with Boycott Black Murder, I want to implement those things.
Yeah.
I want to implement, as we boycott Black Murder, then as we boycott, we do a boycott, as my brother 19 Keys said. We buy into our own communities.
Absolutely.
And invest in our own communities and do stuff for our own. So it goes hand in hand. Absolutely.
And then I think sometimes, like you said, like, when it comes to Black murder, oftentimes it's because we want to get money because we want those things, right? Mm-hmm. We want the best Nikes. We want the chains. We want to be like, have people look at us like I'm the man in a sense. Did you want to talk about, like, because I've seen you, Boycott Black Murder, you've had that at least for like 3 years, right? That I've known.
About a year and 2 years. Now.
Okay, so like, again, like, what was the genesis of that? And then, what made you say, okay, this is something that I'm going to really dedicate the majority of my activism work on and my brain power on Boycott Black Murder?
I think, being formerly incarcerated, coming from impoverished communities, being in the streets a lot of my life and understanding the dynamics that are in the streets, and then when I got into this movement, doing a lot of this work and us, fighting against police brutality, fighting against state-sanctioned violence, doing all of those things, and always hearing, but nobody want to do nothing with black on black people. And it's like, we've been doing that. Like, shout out to Erica Ford, shout out to A.T. Mitchell. Shout out to people that been that founded the crisis management system inside New York City, because that was a focus that they wanted to do. So that work has been doing, and I just wanted to say, I want to utilize my platform. I speak to a lot of different hip-hop artists. I have a lot of different connections and relationships with hip-hop artists who's saying, damn, we need to stop. Like, me and Meek always talk about how what's going on in Philly is crazy, and he wanted to put the guns down. Me and Wallow got a real good relationship. Right. So I said I want to utilize all of those brothers along with the community activists and make the trend of what, because right now violence is a trend. True. It's incentivized. Negativity and murder in our communities incentivized. If you look at the artists they signing, they don't even sign artists no more that don't have real beef. All of the artists,
a fact.
They got real beef. The songs is about real violence that they already committed.
Yeah, like real lives.
You know what? I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So it's incentivized. So when you look and you see these kids, that's why the video. I'm gonna let you see the video. When you look and you see these kids, and this is how they figure is their way out. Because I remember when I was young and I was rapping, I was like, yo, I'm getting out the hood rapping. So if this is what if the last 10 rappers that got signed off of YouTube videos that I'm shooting at somebody, or them robbing somebody, or them having real beef that people done lost their lives about, and they know that's what's perpetuating them to the next level, why not do it? Why you think they're not going to do it? They're following suit. So my thing is, we need to take that same energy, those same platforms. Like I tell all of these platforms and these DJs and all these bloggers that say, yo, I love what you do, then give me the same platform that you give to people that's killing us. Right. Don't tell me you love what I do behind scenes, but you don't put me on the same stages and the same.
Say the name. Say who it is, Mike.
It's a bunch of them. It's a bunch of them. I would be sitting here naming names all day, but I don't want to call out. I'm just calling you.
Because they all talk about you. They like there's so many times that I've listened to these top podcasts and they talk about you, but I haven't seen, some of them have, but I haven't seen the majority of it, like, bring you in to talk about, like, okay, kind of like we try to do, okay, we're seeing you doing this and we want to get like a greater understanding, the idea of like what you're doing.
Yeah, they don't do it. So for me, it's changing. It's really culture shifting, right? It's making gangster what it's supposed to be. Gangster is when you protect your community. Yeah. Gangster is not the one who shoots somebody. It's the one who has enough influence and power to stop somebody from getting shot.
But I remember that moment where, and I'm gonna pass it to you, Miracle, where, remember the little song came out where they took that and they made the little made rap song?
No.
Yeah. And they was on the golf course. Okay. And fine. I remember the moment where I found out, like, they're talking about real people. Like, I'm thinking that this was just a hip hop song. I was like, oh, this is clever. This is hot. You know what I'm saying? And then come to find out, like, oh, they're naming real human beings.
Whole nother level
that have died. And my mind being blown because, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, well, why would you indict yourself, in a murder? And like
multiple,
right. And what would these other families? And then the other dude makes a video, and he's like at the enemy's grave, and it's like now we're talking about stuff that is there coming back from that? You know what I'm saying?
It really isn't, and that's and we understand that. And the thing is, for me, is I'm gonna let you talk real quick. I just want to say this. We understand that, especially us that come from that soil, right? So that's why people be like, yo, you so critical of academics and all that, because I understand that you don't even understand what it is that you're doing.
Come on.
Because you're not willing to deal. You're not in the jungle with these lions and these bears. You're not outside. You're never going to feel none of the remnants of what it is that you're creating as you amplify.
Because
as you tell
niggas
us
was never outside to begin
never
with.
outside.
Never outside.
So you
never outside.
out there say, oh, such and such just shot somebody. Y'all soft. Y'all need to go get your lick back. And oh, you ain't slide. He outside looking comfortable. They supposed to be this. And you outside perpetuating that. And you got 5 million followers. So when they hear you talk that way to your 5 million followers, now they got to prove to your 5 million followers that they say who they are. They are exactly who they say they are. So now you done created a real beef, and you ain't never coming outside. You ain't never going to have deal with nothing, because if you was, you wouldn't even want to be involved in that. If you understood what the ramifications is for really creating beef like that, you would stay out of it. That's why I don't do it. That's why when I go out there, I'm trying to take the guns out these hands, because I know that these kids gonna lose their lives. They're gonna do prison after 2. You're gonna be in there 30 days after you got life sentence. You ain't even mad at the shit that you killed somebody over no more. So this is a reality, and I know that because I had to sit there and I got best friends that ain't never coming home with triple murder, and they tell me every day like none of this shit was worth it. But you don't know that, and you able to capitalize and perpetuate and make money off these kids and keep on doing this shit over and over. And then when somebody says something, oh, you just hating. No, I'm not hating. You don't understand. What you doing is direct conflict in the work I'm doing. I'm trying to save lives, and you perpetuating them getting taken.
Yeah, I was saying from Georgia, it's weird because I remember when like Yin Yang Twins and everybody was popping, and everybody was like, y'all not hard, like y'all not talking about this, y'all just talking about partying. So it's like very interesting to watch this turn to violence. But I've also talked about how it's been the police and the military that showed people how to be violent, because they show the killing videos, the stuff, Saddam. When the police do a raids, when they want to be strong, they show they show the raids. They have media come along. And so we have learned, just because of the over-policing, like how to emasculate and dehumanize other people. So when you're talking about changing this culture, what are some of the things that you would like to see? Because we are in this sea of anti-Blackness, but we have had artists all the time be a beacon of hope for our communities. So what are some of the things that you want to see as we do this culture shift?
I think what I want to see is like a lot of DJs have started committing to where they're not playing records when you're talking about smoking on some dead ops, or you talking about little actual beefs. They're not doing that. So that's one of the shifts. But then I also want you to start playing music that perpetuates something else, that shows a different narrative. Let these kids know that I don't have to just talk about that to be successful, right? Give them the same opportunities. Like we know that drill music is something that comes from the community, and we identify with that, right? It's like you said, it's always been hardcore rap, and it's always been hardcore, but it wasn't directly pointing at real killing at them time. It wasn't narrating real beefs that was killing each other. It just wasn't doing that. And you got every now and then it was a scuffle, a crew might get into a beef, but it wasn't every time we see you, we shooting at you trying to kill you. And then when those things started happening, we realized that it had gone too far. You know what I'm saying? So why are we taking it beyond even that at this point? So I want to see the music culture start to shift. I want to see a lot of these artists, that's what I want. I want to see artists that even if that's all if you're the biggest drill rapper in the world, and that's the entertainment, the same way that, Al Capone and Robert De Niro can go out there and they can play these roles, but when they come back to the community, it's a role, right? So I need y'all to come back to them same communities, because they out there dying and they listening to you. So I need you to be like, yo, this music is good and we did this to save our families and we talking about things that's going on, but I want you to live. I don't want you out here killing each other. That's not what this is about. This music is for you to reflect and identify because you know what goes on in these communities, but now we need to shift it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I want to see more artists take that stance and not just be like, put their hands up after you done bled the community and these kids is going out and they supporting you and they spending all their money on you and they killing each other because they think that's what you would want them to do or that's what you would do when we know that most of y'all is not even in the hood no more. Y'all got out of it and you trying to make sure that your family and everybody is safe.
Let me ask you this. Do you think a lot of it is because most of these artists are broke? Right, and you think if they take that stand, they're worried about losing that money. They're losing that bag.
Of course it is.
You know what I mean? Like, because the label puts them in a position where you're already not making a lot of money, right? You already, like, you know, let's just keep it tall. All these artists ain't got it like they think they like. They want you to believe that they do. But the moment they take a stand and they've seen what happened with Kyrie, they've seen what happened with other entertainers who have kind of fought against the system. How do we get that message to those artists then? I think, put that battery in their back to be like, yo, you know what? Fuck that deal.
But it's not even fuck the deal because the music is what the music is.
Right, that's a fact.
And we already know that. Like, there's always G-Rap from you listen, MOP is my favorite. We've always, some hardcore used to get chains snatched out. We know that this is a real.
Annie Up got robbed.
You know what I'm saying? So this is what it was. But the reality of the situation is I know that a lot of those artists, when they did interviews, when you can listen, Jay would tell you about all the coke and all the shit in the world.
Yeah.
But when he did an interview, he was talking about black empowerment. He was talking about, you know, this was the only thing we knew. This was the only proximity to any level of success. Drugs was the only thing we marketed. But once I got out of it, I realized you only a drug dealer when you can sell drugs. But when you're a hustler, you can sell anything. Ooh, you know what I'm saying? So that was the mind state. So it's about elevation. That's why I take time with these young artists. They be like, oh, you ain't caught up. These kids is babies. You supposed to grab them and you supposed to nurture them. They supposed to see, like, when you listen to 21 Savage and them, they starting to grow.
That's a fact. 21 has shown amazing growth.
And that's
interviews 100%. To everything. The way
you know
he talks,
when you listen to Lil Baby, they showing growth. They like, man,
Baby's documentary was like a hood classic.
I'm not sitting out here dying on no corner. Like you watch me, they just continue to elevate. These
but you also, I had a meeting today, and I don't want to say his name because it was a private meeting, but it was one of the most well-known hip hop artists in Pittsburgh, and you know his persona, like you said, his persona is get money, get money, women, flashy, and the thing he talked about most in the meeting is he's a dad. He's like, I am a father and I want my children to live. And so I'm committed to doing whatever it takes to help stop violence. And it was so inspiring to me because I knew his persona. But like you said,
they want that.
But he understood, like, in this, like, he was like, I want to go talk to these kids outside of that persona. So he understood, like, yo, he's a performer. I get on the stage, he gonna do his songs, he gonna do the songs people like. But he was ready to do, like you said, I'm ready to talk to these children about living, about being alive. And that's and it's like that is now, So I do think, bro, that is and I say this, like, you've helped. I do think like that tide is turning and you're seeing a lot of artists and a lot of, because the violence is like, it's going too far. Like we just had a 4-year-old girl, little baby girl, murdered last week. A couple weeks before that, a funeral was shot up, bro. They shot a funeral up. You know what I'm saying? And it's on video. So you see people's moms and like screaming because they drove by the funeral and shot up. This is in Pittsburgh, man. And so I do think like the timing of this, like what you're doing, similarly to the shoe thing, it's like you're in line with what the universe is asking for right now. And to me, that shows like, you know, your sincerity. Is like that you're not like, this isn't, you're not waiting for something to happen and then doing it. You've been on this. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to just big you up for that. You had something, Fruit?
Yeah, you just talked over me, so it's okay.
Oh, my fault, bro. It's hard to hear you because you don't have no voice. You don't have anything else?
What I wanted to say,
this nigga's looking at me, man.
I wanted to say, like, you know, my brother Angelo said something that was so profound. He said, these kids are not even living a lifestyle. It's a death style.
True.
And I was saying to myself, wow, like they're actually conjuring up death. Like they speaking death.
Manifesting it. Yeah.
Manifesting it every day. Like I watch young kids, like these new young drill, like it's it's 2 or 3 of them dead in the video. They 14 and 15.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing.
And then
it's
right
crazy.
now they be like, my little nephew's point, like, yeah, he got killed. They ran down on him. It's 3 of them that's already dead.
And that's the point I was about to come to. Like, when we was out here living this lifestyle, right? We talked about it before we was both locked up. When we were rapping as a way out, right? Did you really think that you was gonna live long enough to see a deal? Because I didn't.
I don't know. I didn't. You know what it is? I'm not gonna lie. I've always had supreme confidence in me. I don't know if it was a deal or something. I just knew that God had called me to do something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I was like, I'm not supposed to not be successful. I'm not supposed to not be comfortable. I'm not supposed to not have peace. You know, all of this around me, I don't become, even when I went to jail, I didn't adapt to jail. I made jail adapt to me. I didn't try to fit in, oh, you got to do this to do this. I'm like, nah, I'm going to be who I am.
Wow.
I'm on my own square. I got my own rules. I don't have to abide by the prison rules. I know what to stay away from and all those things. Right. But I'm not trying to fit in. I don't need to have this, I'm tougher than there. I don't want to do none of that shit because it's not authentic to me. Because most of the people trying to do that they living in fear, and I don't have fear of anything.
But I would say with a lot of these youngers, right, like out here drilling and jugging and doing all these things, like they don't see a finish line, right? You know, it's live fast, die young. Like, you know, for me, like I know me, I can only speak anecdotally, right? By the time I was 20, 18 of my friends had got killed, right? And most of that happened within like a 3-year span. And I know rapping was my way out, but I still couldn't pull myself out of the streets far enough to where I was like, I actually felt like I was abandoning some of them. Like when I was going to, okay, I was like, well, if I go do this tour, I would go on a tour for 13 days. I came back, 5 of my friends was dead. And I was like, well, if I wouldn't have gone, maybe things would have changed. Maybe I would have got killed. You know what I mean? Like, you get me? But a lot of our youth though that make this music and live that death style, like you said, I like the way that sounds, unfortunately, but it's a reality. They don't see that finish line. They be like, you know what? I'm gonna put a couple of these videos out. I'm gonna go viral. I might get 1 million likes on this shit. And that's a good life for them.
So question, do you think that is because how the media is driven? Mm-hmm. And I want to ask you that, and I want to bring this because one of the interviews we did, we don't do a lot of interviews, so especially when we sit down and do an interview on our show, but we interviewed Dave Mays, founder of the Source magazine, Bakari Katwana, you know, who's my mentor, and he was editor-in-chief, and we really started to talk about like how hip-hop journalism is gone, right? Like now, you know, hip hop journalism is, you know, it's like academics,
clickbait,
right? And academics is somebody that you've had very public interaction with. I think recently, you know what I'm saying?
Yesterday.
Like, yesterday. Yeah. Like, I know that I actually watched the episode where Wallow put him on the phone and I guess tried. I'm guessing since then there hasn't been really any communication, but I don't know. Is there been any communication offline? And like, why do you feel like it's important to like show like somebody that's academics that's almost like a parasite? You know how the parasite like
that's
feeds
exactly
off of dead flesh. It's all like really kind of like what he is.
It's a bottom feeder.
Yeah.
He's a bottom feeder and he's a cancer to the culture. And and the thing is, he's able to profit because people live a death style, right?
Yeah.
Because people are invested in negativity. So so he's able to profit. So for me, it's like I understand the reality of what we're dealing with, right? And I understand that this is a 30-plus-year-old man.
Yes.
This is not a kid. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of grace for kids. When you're in your 20s, you're 18, I got a grace because I understand your frontal lobe is not developed.
Mm-hmm. Same with just like what he was talking about. When he was a kid, he matured, he grew up, he thinks different.
And if you're not around the right type of influence, then you just become what you're around. You know what I'm saying? When you look at men in society, these kids have already, in their mind, I'm going to die. Like he said, this is what it is. After you see 18, like that's crazy. Just hearing that. And when I think about probably 10 of mine had died by that time, I normalized it.
Absolutely.
It's regular.
We start normalizing abnormality. So if there's nobody else around us to shift that consciousness, right, then what happens is people like academics are allowed to prey on that. Yeah. This is a man that studied metaphysics. Physics. He was in college graduate. He's doing
like biotech or something.
Whatever it is. Whatever it is, he's intelligent enough to know that he is mind fucking these babies. And he's willing to sacrifice them for his own personal gain.
Yeah.
That's demonic to me. That's evil. That shit ain't just let somebody win. It's like me sitting there watching somebody pimp 12 and 13-year-old girls and saying, yo, what you just hating on him. He getting his money. You just mad. No, bro. He's pimping kids. Yeah. Like, at what point do we make a decision to say, yo, that shit is just not okay? Right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's happening for me. I'm watching a grown adult man who is not giving the game to these kids. He's running game on them. He's tricking them off the streets. He's tricking them out of their life. And everybody is gravitating to it. And understanding that's conflicting with what it is I stand for and represent as a man. My moral compass is deeply shattered. Every time I see something that he does, watching him disrespect women every day, you up there every day calling these ladies out their name all the time, every day. Like, and you keep being celebrated. He's in rooms with people that I respect as men. You know what I'm saying? Y'all actually giving platforms to bottom feeders to be able to continue to further that. You know, like
so when you talk to them, like the people that you respect, and it's like, I'm guessing like it's clear who he is. You know, to me, you know, we want the media. I've studied media. You know, part of why we exist is because of how the media in Pittsburgh portrayed black men specifically as criminals, and so it's like he's like a part of that line of like kind of degrading, and even the shade room will throw some black excellence up every 4 or 5 posts.
It's a very focused. It's a very focused assault.
I've never even seen him like big up something in a positive way.
There's no level of positivity. There's nothing that is pushing the culture forward in a positive manner.
And that's an indictment against the culture.
It is. It's
you know
both.
I mean? Because like you said, like you had said, man will shout out mice. They'll lodge up mice. Yeah. But it's like, play the music. Play, you know what I mean? Amplify the artists. And we in this culture, we talk a good
But not even the music, because it don't even got to be music, but that's amplify the voice. Absolutely. There's so much different shit that we doing that we need to be promoted. You know what I'm saying? There's so much work that we doing that we need to be promoted. We the same way y'all interviewing them, we trying to grab these young kids and turn them into leaders. Like all of these gang leaders, those are the ones we need. These young kids that's on the corners, like we need to transfer that same energy. We want to make Boycott Black Murder the biggest gang in the world. We want to grab all of the top gang members to where we take it back out. You know what I'm saying?
I thought you were going to say something.
No, I was going to say this, and I think this is why. And you know, if I could answer for my brother, I think like, you know, like when you stand, one, if you stand next to the brother, I think people feel like, it's like you might feel like you don't measure up. You know what I'm saying? Because
who are you talking about?
Just like individuals like being like, I big up mice or being behind the scenes, but might feel like if I stand next to him, you know, sometimes, man, you know, it's a lot of egos in this game.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? You know, my story was, I remember when we organized Justice or Else 2015. I remember in that organization, and you know, that was us nationally, kind of like behind the scenes and other folks. And I remember when it was like people got cut from speaking. Right. And I was one of the people that got cut. And people was tight. You know what I'm saying? People was tight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you heard any of this. Yeah. People was tight. But I felt like, oh, Mice is up there. He speaks for me. Right. You know what I'm saying? If he's speaking, I'm speaking. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. I think sometimes like that, you know, because there's a competition in hip hop, sometimes the feeling is like we gotta, you know, be there. And I think like, you know, standing next to somebody that does as much work as you, I think some people might be afraid to be called out on like, why don't you do more? Like, you have more resources and you have a higher platform than my son. Why is this brother doing all of these things that's having an effect? What if you lynch your... So that's what I think. I think people are really a little bit... Because then you got to go all in. You know what I'm saying? And and the one thing about you that I respect, bro, like, and I've seen... And I don't want to bring up all the different conflicts, but I've seen, like, any conflict or anything, you're always the same. You're always the same, and I don't never see nobody really bring it to you. You know and
that's one thing I was going to say.
I don't never really see that.
I wanted to give you your flowers because you're a few years older than me, but I remember it was like Mice, Chi Ali, right? a lot of these men that stood on everything you stand on. And I remember when you went away, and I was like, whenever Mike's get, I know he about to drop heat. I know Mike's gonna come with fire. And then to see what you've been doing in the culture, right? I remember the first time Jasiri introduced us was what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Yeah, something
about
like
4
that,
years ago. And I was like, man, I was happy that I got to see you not only get your credit, but also at the same time, we always don't. Brothers like me, you, we don't always get to see some of the deeds we did in the road come, pay those back.
Yeah,
we don't always get to see that. Some of us don't live that long, and that was something Muhammad and I was talking about last night. Like, we don't always get a chance to, put that good back into the community. So to see you come full circle and be where you are right now in the game, it's amazing because it's not a lot of people who get that light.
True.
It's not a lot of people who can keep the spotlight, because it's still, like, Instagram is still entertainment, right? Even we can be as serious as we want with activism. We can be as serious as we want with this show. Yeah. It's still entertainment. Yeah.
Right. Somebody. You still want to create something that somebody listens to.
Right. Yeah. It's still consumable, right? It's still something consumable. But just to give you your flowers on that aspect, because like he said, nobody's checking you on the wild shit. You get me?
I mean, and then I got two things. I don't want to take too much of your time. You just got off the plane and came right.
I came here for this, so
I appreciate it. So because we did talk about like how, and I thought about, I'm a big battle rap fan of the culture.
Let's go.
And I thought about how, like, a lot of the really what influenced what ended up becoming now battle rap was these raps that were taking place on the street that we wish we had video. You and Shine and you going to different hoods. You know what I'm saying? I interviewed like Wise Intelligent one time, and he talked about like them bringing Jay-Z to his hood. You know what I'm saying? And Trenton, and they was like, oh, Wise was the dude to rap, and they battled. You know what I'm saying? And that Jay-Z, it was a good battle. You know what I'm saying? And then, but you were one of those early like Smack DVD, and so like I don't know, do you because I know like what's weird about now is people will see you and almost like people might know you from now to maybe a couple years ago, but don't know like
they don't know the levels.
They don't know like the
real,
levels, like the ground roots that you have, not only Bronx and New York City, but even in the hip hop industry. Do you think about that when you interact with some of these young cats?
Because you was on some Harlem World Records, right?
I was on Harlem World
Records. Yeah.
I used to be with Mace,
Violator,
Cardan, and all that, man. Yeah.
So like that's my passion. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Music has been my passion. I grew up on Rakim and G-Rap and EPMD. My first record I ever got was EPMD record.
Wow.
And Big Daddy King. I come from that. I was in the park. My friends, my man, God bless the dead, June Brown was one of my favorite rappers in the world. And he used to come to my house, and he had notebooks like this. And then he would come to the park and spit in the ciphers, and I used to just sit there, and then I just started writing my rhymes, and then I let him hear it, and he was like, oh, you can actually rhyme. Then I remember going to high school, and Mace was in our locker room, and he came and he spit. This is before he got signed.
Oh, wow.
My little man, Doc was he was one of the people I would rhyme to. And he was like, come on, rap, man, let Mike rap. You know what I'm saying? I remember being in ciphers like that and then continuing to go on. So I'm from that. I grew in that. I remember the battle with Shine. I remember Nori. I remember me and DMX battled for like an hour in front of the tattoo parlor.
And then is that how you got down with DMX and got on?
So what happened was my friend Tone, who was my mentor and also the first person who brought me into the industry. Him and Darren was really cool.
Okay, yeah,
they really cool. They was like brothers. So, and the Rough Riders, they was tearing up the streets. Like you would go if you was in Harlem. When you went to Harlem, they would be in front of the Apollo, and there'd be a cipher around them, and you see D Truck, and he had everybody sitting in that cipher, and they would rap. And they would grab the young ones, bring them to the studio, and then you'll go to the studio, and then you'll see you never know who was at the studio. So I remember being in the studio rapping, and Jay-Z and them was there, and it was me, Drag, and all of us. It was a whole cipher, and we used to rap. And I remember Jay looking like, yo, this thing is phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? So I remember getting those accolades, even when we talk about the Gilly battle that I know I won, but you know what I'm saying? But it was always around we was always in that. Puff brought me to the studio like, oh, I need you to battle Gilly right now. After, matter of fact, he won the first battle because I think they cheated me, but it was cool anyway. But the second battle, I won. So you know what I'm saying? Being in those type of rooms, being in that setting, always in that setting, always knowing. Like I remember when I first battled Sean, it was like my son was on the way.
Wow,
I was broke.
Yeah.
I was in the hood. I was like, yo, I got a son that's gonna be here in a few months. You know what I'm saying? I'm hungry. I'm coming out here trying to tear people's head off. I remember going to the studio rapping for from Entertainment. For like an hour straight. Every beat he put on, I rapped to. I made a song that day in the studio that was probably one of my favorite songs. Like literally, like so. It's so much history in hip hop. And then I remember being in the first Blaze battle when
that was on was that Showtime?
Yeah,
Showtime. Yeah.
I remember that first Blaze battle. I remember missing the Hard Knock Life tour. The what's the Jay-Z? What's the
Rock the Mic?
That was Hard Knock Life tour.
But what was the documentary?
What was the documentary called? The Jay-Z documentary.
Backstage.
No, I don't think that was called something else. Yeah.
Why am I blank?
Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you were supposed to be on that tour.
I was supposed to be there with DMX. Me and DMX went to record a song, and he was. I went to meet him, and I had just missed with Beans. You see is a backstage.
I was backstage. Yeah, it's called backstage.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, it might be.
Also, come on.
Yeah, you was right.
Yeah. So anyway, I missed that they had Beans and all of them was backstage and they all rapping, and I was supposed to be in that cipher, and I missed it by a couple hours. And DMX like, yo, you just missed it. It was a crazy.
That's when the brother from the Nation came with the bow tie. Yeah.
It was all. I remember all of those things, man. Like I remember the first time and the only time I ever smoked weed was with DMX.
Wow.
In Vegas, he flew me out to Vegas, and I'm with him, and we smoked weed, and I almost passed out. Shit was spinning around. I threw up and said, I'm never smoking again. Like, this was my mentor. Like, he took me under his wing. So I know what that comes from. And then when I came home, battle rap that's when they started doing the internet. It was no internet when I first went to jail.
Yeah.
So Jay Mills was this was my little man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So he was in my camp.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So he stared battling Mook. They created
the glory
that.
days, man. Yo,
they created him, Mook,
that.
Lux, and all that. They created these
that.
Is people. That comes from my litter. So when I came home, and then when Smack, that's when they started doing the battles. We did the first battle with me and Enes and Lux. No, not Lux. With T-Rex.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You know what I'm saying? And God bless the dead. What's the guy name that just passed away?
Pat Stay?
No, not him.
I'm saying he wasn't around.
Miles, was that?
Not Miles. From Philly.
What the not Joey Jihad.
Not Joey.
No, I can't call.
I can't call his name right now, but he had an unorthodox style, and you know what I'm saying. And Mook battled that day. And
Roscoe?
No.
I can't think. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Anyway, but I'm from that. You know what I'm saying. So that was the first when they started doing pay-per-view. The dude who did it still owed me about $20,000.
Wow.
We were supposed to be guaranteed $20,000 win, lose, or draw. And I never got my money for that. So I forgot who he is. Smack knows the dude. That was the first pay-per-view rap battle in history.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So I know that I've been on the forefront of a lot of this stuff. And I love it where it's gone now. Like people like watching.
It's its own genre. It's its own genre.
They getting paid $50,000, $100,000 for battles now. Like,
and they eating better than some of the.
Eating better than
come on,
a lot of them. And I love to see that, man. I love the culture. A lot of times I go out to Goods is one of my close friends.
Yeah.
Lux is one of my brothers. Mook is all of them is my brother. So a lot of times when they have those matches, if I'm here, I always try to go and support them. So
if you had to jump in the ring, who would be the first person that you would do it against?
I don't really know. Like I don't know because I don't have but I love the culture. I don't have somebody I want to battle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have nobody that I want to battle.
And I think, like you said, man, you're on this elevation. One of the things, man, I wanted to ask you as we close is like, you talk about a lot like that. A lot of people aren't built like you. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's rare, right? Certain individuals that I kind of, and sometimes, you feel like it, like, man, are we like a dime? I look at like somebody like Manny, like that we a dying breed, man. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not a lot of dudes that you can really trust that, like, you know, it's like, okay, I know somebody's gonna stand with me, whatever, you know, and I'm gonna stand with them. Like, it's so, like, how do you, because it's like you're somebody that's like, you know, you define like what it means to be 100. But like you're often in, you know, when you're dealing with the entertainment industry, it's like the exact opposite is what runs that. And then sometimes even in the activism spaces, it's a lot of people that like pop in. It's a lot, you know, I mean, and I think a lot of people, I always tell people, man, I just kind of did a conversation where it's like, if you get into this activist space or organizing space, if you don't really love black people, you will not last. You will not last, man, because you're going to get like the backlash or whatever you get. It's tough. It's hard. But I think some people see it as a pathway to maybe get something else. So like, how do you, what's the future for you in terms of like, you're this way, you are who you are, you ain't changing. Like, is it to continue like grabbing young people to build them up to be 100 like yourself, or like, how do you see the future of this thing going?
Well, first, I just want to give you your flowers, man.
I appreciate that.
Everything that you say about me is exactly the same thing I say about you. You always been 100. You've been authentic.
Thank you.
You know, you have done trailblazing things, especially in this work. One of the dopest artists spitting.
Thank you.
So there are people like me, like watching you, knowing every time I call you, it's the same exact energy. Every time we in the building, it's the same energy.
True.
Knowing if we on the front line, I know that you there for me all the time, just like you know I got your back. So
absolutely,
it's good to know that we have other brothers in this, that you're not crazy.
Yeah.
I look at Jasiri, I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy, because Jasiri is still the same. Some of these people, for like you said, they fall by the waistline, they change, they switch up. But it's a few of us that's 100, and that's what comes with it. We deal with whatever comes with it, and you know, and I stand on that. You know, I think for me, I don't know what the future holds, right? I just know I'm gonna be me every day. You know, I know every time that I'm passionate about something, I'm gonna put all into it. I know I'm passionate about saving these babies' lives. I know I'm passionate about watching us evolve into the next phase. I know I'm passionate about generational wealth and about just actual having happiness, not just existing, but actually living, just watching just the beloved community. I'm passionate about that. I want to see us come together and live in a, you know, in a environment with the level of energy that's at peace. You know, I remember being a young kid and not having much and always feeling scattered and trying to figure out how we going to do this, and feel like being forced into the streets, you know, like really being forced into the streets, because I didn't see no other pathway. The only vision of success that I seen was the drug dealer who had everything that I wanted. So understanding that I don't want that to be for nobody else's kids. You know what I'm saying? I want to change that. I want us to identify our power. I want us to see the energy that we have and what we can be. And I want to be one person who remembered for putting everything he had into doing that.
Absolutely.
You know, that's what it is for me. I don't think I'm gonna see exactly what I want in my lifetime, but I know that I'm going to put every bit of energy when it's something that goes against my moral compass. I'm gonna speak out. I'm not gonna be quiet, right? Because the only time evil could prosper is when good men are silent. You know what I'm saying? So we can't continue to peacefully coexist with bullshit. Like this coward culture, it's coward culture. That's what I call it. And the cowards are being elevated. They're allowed to just continue to just weasel through, and all they could tell you is they got money. Like, what else do you got? You so poor that all you got is money. Like the academic said something back to me today. Oh, you poor, you broke, you this and that. But I have integrity. I sleep good every night.
100%.
I'm here by myself. I don't got 30 million people to follow me around. Ain't nobody.
Oh, you're not here. You're not in Pittsburgh by yourself.
I'm not here, but
ain't nobody doing nothing.
You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm saying. So I know
we like the government.
We gonna make sure that.
And that's what it is. And that's how I live my life. Everywhere that I go.
But like you said, like, you know, academic can't move like that. And I know what you're saying, like, because you go everywhere, you've been everywhere, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Even when people was like, oh, if you come here, you be there. You're like, I'm here, I'm by myself. And it don't never be that energy in person. But if it was, I mean, you know, to let folks know, I mean, you might be by yourself physically, but you got folks like us, and I'm sure brothers and sisters all over the country that will ride with you. You know what I'm saying?
That's
if
what
you
karma
need
is, because that's what the energy. That's the energy that I put into the universe. That, you know what I'm saying, when people realize that you authentically believe in something, it's people that's in my DMs and people that I see in the street. Like, yo, you got a soldier, you good? And I'll be like, nah, I'm good. Like, yo, you such and such said that you want me. No, I don't want you to do none of that. You know what I'm saying? And they take it, and that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
People don't realize that the energy that you put out, a lot of these people have beef with people that they never met before.
100%.
That because they put out so much negative energy and people are opposed to that, and they don't even realize that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I understand that. Understand what my purpose is. Every day I know I'm living in my purpose, man. Yeah, you know, what I do with music is that's my passion and my purpose. So I connect my passion with my purpose, and I'm able to connect to these kids through music. That's what it is for me. The music is the conduit to actually save these lives. You know, so when you look at Funk Flex, freestyle, and all those things, it's a method to it.
Still one of the best.
You know what I'm saying? It's a method to it's kids that's 14, 15, go, yo, that's my favorite. Yeah. So now you're able to listen to me. Now I'm able to connect you, and now I'm able to take you to the next level. So that's what it is for me. It's always about just growing and evolving, man.
Man, so I do have a question. I don't think I've ever asked you. And then I don't know if you have anything else that you want to, because that was a good kind of wrap up right there. I did want to ask you, because I remember meeting Tamika and Linda. I think I met them through Carmen, because I was working with the Gathering for Justice. I remember like NY Justice League, and then I remember the Women's March, and we were there, like me, you, and Aja Monet doing the thing, and them not wanting us, them kept trying to cut us. It's one of the, I have so much respect for like Tamika and Lynn, because they could have folded into that pressure. They said, no, they get on the stage. But then I kind of maybe turned my head to the left and turned around, and then it was Until Freedom. Like, can you talk about like where, like, and then it was like, not only was it Until Freedom, like everybody had matching sweatsuits and hats and
you giving this nigga so many ideas about branding and merchandise that he's
like, we gotta get sweatsuits.
Or every time you see Until Freedom, he's like, yo, I need that.
So what was it like? Did y'all meet? Like how did Until Freedom come about? And then just the work that you all are doing continue to do right now. I mean, and I thought about you when I saw the brother, they settled with Kenneth Walker, Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, and just the work you all put in on the ground in Louisville. Like, we came to Louisville, because you all invited us to come help in 2020. So how did Until Freedom come about? And then, I mean, you already gave me the sweatsuit link, but
So Until Freedom, it was a long time coming, right? Like you said, we started out with the Gathering for Justice. Yeah. That was my entry point. Tamika and I had met at an event that we was doing a Christmas giveaway. And, I started telling her about the work I did. We had realized that we had known each other from years ago, because her cousin had lived in my building right underneath me, and she had stayed there. So I'm like, you look familiar. So, we started building, and then she, I had let her hear this song that I had did for Trayvon. I did What Do I Say to My Sons after, the Zimmerman verdict. Yeah. And she was amazed by it. And she was like, yo, we need to hear this. I know Trayvon's mother. I want to let her hear it. And then she brought me to Carmen. She's like, Carmen is going into prisons, what I'm saying, inside the Bronx. I want y'all connect. It'll be a good fit. So I started going to the detention centers with Carmen. So, I started doing all this work. That was my first entry point into the movement. And, right. That was like in 2011. Yeah. So that was my first entry point into the movement. And I'm like, wow, I remember my first rally, we came out of the detention center, and they found out that they weren't going to charge Daniel Pantaleo for Eric Gardner. And that's when we had one of the biggest rallies in New York City. And I remember being in the middle of the street like, yo, this is the work I want to do. So, but as I started moving on, Mr. B's organization, they have their own parameters. There's things that I can't say and do.
Yes. When I put the song out, the first song that The Gathering put out, it had to be censored because Mr. B wasn't. I had a line that said "fuck the police" like Boosie. They just Mr. B wasn't playing that. So you're absolutely right. It's that parameter.
So I understand that. I'm like, so I understand that it has parameters. So what I want to do, after that, we went to the Women's March. They went to the Women's March, and it became one of the biggest things. We did like you said, we did Justice for Else.
Yeah.
Then there was the Women's March.
Yeah.
And I was like the head of security for the Women's March, and I was just watching how our voices were muted, even as black women and women of color. Like, they went through so much shit in that organization.
100%, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just watching how there was no space that allowed us, especially me, Tamika, and Linda, to completely be us and have our voice in the culture. Because I wanted the culture to be involved. There were so many people from my community that was like, yo, I love what you do, but I don't know how to speak like that, or I ain't. What you mean you ain't? What did you mean? Because so far in this movement, you had only seen it represented one way. You didn't even understand how I got into it. You didn't.
Yeah.
So I was fighting in certain rooms to where a lot of times my voice was being muted, or you can't say it this way. You got to say it that way. And I'm like, no, but that's not how they hear it. The people that I'm trying to save need me to say it this way.
Yeah.
So so obviously these organizations, as much as I love them, that elevated me and put me in position, I said to myself, it's time for us to design our own, organization. Tamika and Linda had the horrible experience with the Women's March, and coming out of the Women's March, we said to ourselves, we need something that's us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We need something that's for this culture, because these kids that we try to save, as much as they want to be in the movement, they don't see themselves in the rest of these movements.
Yeah.
So we wanted to create something that we saw ourselves, that we were able to be our full authentic selves, that we were able to utilize the culture, utilize our voices to say what we wanted to say at all times. And
Women's March on the sweatsuit don't have as much swag as Until Freedom, you know what I mean?
So I came up with the name Until Freedom, and
that's you?
Yeah, came up with the name, and then we came up with the design. We were just in the room one day. We was like, all right, we got to create our own stuff. And we sat and had a marketing meeting, me, Tamika, Linda, and Angelo, and we just sat there and we came up with it, man. We just ran. And right after we created Until Freedom is when George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. So that was like our first entry as work. We went straight to work in that.
Absolutely.
And from there, we just continued on.
Man. So appreciate you.
So my question is, you talked about how you got into the movement and organizing. What has been some of the lessons? Because there is no school that teaches you how to be an organizer.
True.
We show up because we care. What has been some of the biggest lessons you've had to learn while navigating these spaces and even creating your own organization?
I think what I had to learn is that about media. A lot of media and social media, and not feeding in to narratives, not allowing people to mute you or make you feel like you can't say what you want to say or you shouldn't say that, and learning how to fight back. The biggest lesson that I learned is that when this cancel culture that they try to, people attack the movement, and the only time that it's able to work is when you become silent and you get scared. And that's how a lot of our leaders fell to the part. Somebody tried to attack them and went at them, and a lot of them just fell back. And I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. My voice is going to be just as loud as y'all hating. I'm going to continue on louder. So I realized that my voice and voice inside the movement has to be strong. You have to stand on whatever you stand on. You got to be willing to live and die by whatever it is that you represent. So that was one of the major things, because especially in the Women's March, being on the outside, just actually looking in and watching how they try to destroy those women of color within that movement, and how it was so much noise and people trying to cancel them and people putting things on them, and just and knowing that if they weren't strong enough, if these women weren't the strongest women I ever seen in my life, then they could have been like perished. Like they could have went into suicidal mode. I watched them go through shit that I've never seen in my life. But they were able to stand strong, and it was a testament to what it is that I believe. Like the minister always says, you look the devil in his eyes and he will flee. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the things that I got from this movement. It's like, this movement is not easy. You know what I'm saying? Fighting for black people is not easy. A lot of times you're going to fight against the same people you're fighting for.
True.
You know, so it's envy, it's all types of things that come. I thought the music business was bad, but I realized this movement is even worse. Man, people done accuse me of I ain't never stole a thing in no movement. In the streets, you know, when I was in the streets, it was a different thing. But in this, I've never stole nothing. I've been called everything from fake this, the ambulance chaser, all this because you want to fight and willing to put your life on the line for your people. You know what I'm saying? So you got to take that. You got to have real tough skins because a lot of these people don't even know. Like Rosa Parks, they said Rosa Parks that she would have saved a lot more if they knew they were slaves.
Harriet Tubman.
My fault. You're right, Harriet Tubman. But a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know the positions we in. So a lot of them is fighting against you and not knowing that when you get free, everybody gonna get free. The same thing I'm fighting. All you gotta do is be quiet. I ain't asking you to fight for me or with me. Just don't fight against me. So the enemy utilizes our own voices, and you know, just understanding that, you just learn how to circumvent that and learning how to get in before that is one of the biggest lessons that I learned.
And
that's a great one.
With that, my question would be like, how do you decipher between the cancel culture and like the critique? Because like we all don't know everything. Mm-hmm. We make mistakes because we're human. So how when you're going through these controversies, how do you say this person just wants to do clout and make a big fuss of nothing, but this person is actually trying to talk and show me or explain where I may have made a mistake somewhere?
Oh, because for me, I'm open to dialogue. So when you make a statement or you question something to me, I have no problem answering the question. When I realize that every solution I got, you got another problem, then I realize you're just trying to be divisive. When I could show you and I could point out this and that, and even if we can agree to disagree, then that's part of life because everybody doesn't agree on. I don't agree with nobody on everything. My approach to something or my theory or ideology might not fit you, and it's cool. But it doesn't. Just long as we know that it comes from a place of genuine, you know, and authenticity, and it's not rooted in malice or anything like that. Because I don't do things that's rooted in malice. I don't come from that position. So anytime I can have dialogue with somebody, and you still trying to put malice and malicious intent on me, then I know that you're not trying to have real relative critique. You're trying to do something to harm me. So at that point, I know how to separate myself from that.
Thank you. Well, this might be one of the longest interviews we ever did, and I still got mad questions. You know what I'm saying? But are you good?
I don't have much of a voice left.
Yes. Yes, you had something else?
Oh, we're wrapping up? Was there last
question?
question?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to do the joy one. That's my.
Yes. That's a great question to end on.
I think it's always about this movement is hard, but there's also a lot of good that happens, and the people you're making connections with. You know, when we go different cities, for me, it's like the different food we get to like try in different places. But like, what brings you joy as you do this work? What is like sustaining you? As you're going through, you're talking about stopping murder, so you see a lot of the worst parts of people. Mm-hmm. You've survived going to the prison. You've been through a lot. So what feeds you? What motivates you? And what brings you joy?
I think what feeds me is seeing change. Like, you know, I think when we actually got an indictment on the officers for Breonna Taylor's case, knowing that, you know, I relocated and for 3-4 months I lived in Louisville. I cried with Tamika Palmer about her daughter, that I cried with Kenneth Walker. And just when you're able to see those things, when you're able to see fruition, when you know that you cried with George Floyd's family and you sat in living rooms with them, and you was in the courtroom when they actually received some level of justice and some level of accountability. Those are the moments. And then it's also the times when family members say thank you. You know what I'm saying? When you build those genuine connections, like Tamika Palmer is my family. That whole Palmer family is my family. The Floyd family is my family. My son was in Vegas and he ran into George Floyd and they grabbed him like this is their family. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we create genuine bonds with people because it's genuine. You know, and going, like you're saying, in those times, even sometimes we might cry together, but every time we go towns, we break bread with each other. We sit at the table, and for those few minutes, we laugh and we enjoy each other. We have some drinks and we eat. And even though it started out from the pain, it grows genuine love, and you creating a bigger family, and you seeing lives change, and you watching, everyday individuals grow into their own activists and their own leaders that being forced into it, but seeing them gravitate into this level of strength. Like, every time I watch Tamika Palmer speak now, understanding what she's went through and understanding that and seeing her just evolve into this person is even Sabrina Fulton, like watching them evolve into what they are. It's just, it's for me, that's one of the joys, watching young kids. Like when I go to these schools and I'm teaching kids about, anti-violence, or I'm going there doing music with them, whatever it is, and seeing young kids say, I want to be an activist. I want to do this, and them having a grasp, a real understanding of what's going on, and wanting to change. Just every time I see levels of growth and change, that's what makes me happy.
Man, well, we appreciate that, and it's interesting, brother, because I think you get into this work, like you said, like you came in, and you started going into the jails and the prisons. I don't, you didn't think like, yo, I'm gonna be a famous activist. You know what I'm saying? It's like you get into this work because you have a genuine love, and then you achieve a level of success, a level of notoriety. You know what I'm saying? And a level of support. And I think sometimes people look and then they'll say, oh, you're doing this. You're only doing this to get this support. But it's like, and that's why I was kind of asking about your journey, but it's like you didn't see me in the beginning where we all came together and we was in these rooms and we were doing this work, and it wasn't, the cameras weren't there, the attention wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one hood. We're going into 17 years, 16 years of this work. And it's like, but some people met us in 2020. And was like, y'all just
popped up.
Yeah, it's like, nah, but you didn't see us when we put the roots in, and you didn't see it. And so I think that is that dichotomy sometimes, because you are so visible, and because we see you, we see you on BT, we see you. It's like, like, why are they on BT? And sometimes we'll think that is like, oh, they're only doing activism so they can be with Lil Baby on BT, not seeing, the work that folks have put in for 20, 25 years, man. And so I just want to say, like, we see you, brother. We appreciate you, because you could be doing anything else. I mean, if you wanted to just go write for people, I'm just being honest. I mean, the level of skill the brother has, if he wanted to just go behind the scenes and write for people and just be in the music business, like, you could do that. Like, you have that level of skill to use your platform for the things you use your platform for. We appreciate you. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come kick it with us. And we're gonna go break bread tonight. We're gonna go break bread and enjoy ourselves tonight. So with that being said, this week of White Supremacy, maybe next time we'll have a full 100% Farouk. Yeah. See y'all next year, y'all. Peace. One hood. We talk about a hip-hop icon. We talk about hip-hop legend. Can we give a Pittsburgh welcome and reception to the icon, the legendary, Port Arthur, Texas own, Bombio!